At Granger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgranger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
You know those times when you get invited to a party as a guest?
And he took me to a John Legend private concert. I didn't even know that's what we were doing.
You had me at, can you call out sick to work?
And you have no idea what you're in for.
I whipped out my junk and put it on his desk.
This is a podcast about just that.
They're going to arrest us for being on mushrooms at a wizard park. We're in trouble.
This is Plus One Stories.
Hey, look at that. We're back with another episode of Plus One Stories. What's going on? I'm Chris Donovan, your host, and today I'm excited. We've got a great guest for you. His name is Steve Moreau. Now, if anybody knows me, they know that I like the television series American Chopper. Now, when they were growing by leaps and bounds, Steve was the COO of Orange County Choppers. He's been on trips with the Tuttles. He's been on a Deadliest Catch boat. He drops a few names like Hulk Hogan, Chris Cornell, Danny Bonaducci, Gloria Stefan. But that's not even what the story's about. His story is about the first time that him, Paul Sr., Paul Jr., and Mikey Tuttle were invited up to Muhammad Ali's room at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. How amazing is that? So without giving too much of the story away, Steve and I talk about the moment that him and the Tuttles do meet Muhammad Ali, and then we discuss a few other things that happened. Maybe Steven Tyler was mentioned. Either way, enjoy this conversation right now on Plus One Stories with Steve Moreau, former COO of Orange County Choppers. Steve, thank you so much for joining the show, Plus One Stories. How are you doing, man?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Great. Now, I did a little intro before this, but I want to highlight a few things about your past. Now, if people don't know you, currently you are a real estate broker. You have your own business. But before that, you were the chief operating officer at Orange County Choppers during the Paul Tuttle Jr. and Paul Tuttle Sr. days, I should say. You were in the OCC band. You took trips overseas with these guys. You were on the Deadliest Catch boat, I believe.
Correct.
You know, you were the guy behind the scenes in a lot of it, but some of them you were in front. You were back of the car taking pictures of the cameramen, taking video of the guys on the bikes. So I'm sure you have a cool story, and I'd like to hear one. So what do you got for me? You said something that happened about 18 years ago.
Yeah, so it was pretty early on when I hooked up with the Tuttles, got the job, and we started to really see how popular they were. We were just local guys. My dad was the guidance counselor of a couple of Paul Sr.'s kids. So like Paul Jr. and Danny, I'm not sure which ones exactly, and that's sort of how I really got to know Paul, because my dad knew him. And then, Paul and I, sort of formed a relationship working out in the gym, whatever. So just to give you just a touch of background. So we were just local guys, like in small towns, upstate New York. So when I started working there and the deals and the offers and the things started showing up because you're on television, we got to see some like outrageous stuff, So you would see stuff and look at each other as the guy from down the road, and here we are with world-class celebrities. So that was sort of the part where you'd kind of pinching yourself.
I did see a picture of you and Trump standing with Paul.
Yeah, we did a bike with Trump. It was pretty cool. Paul got to do The Apprentice, and those are stories that layer into like, how did that happen? And I did like the background of the deals. Mm-hmm. And this is not my story, but like that deal, I said, look, Paul really doesn't want to do Apprentice. He likes it. He thinks it's cool, but it's really not his thing. He's a bike builder. I said, so, if we're going to put him through it and he's going to do it, you guys got to build a bike. And they're like, yeah, we'll build a bike. And, and from there you can see the show and you can see my Apprentice, and he did great. And it's funny because in Apprentice, he would call and say, I really want to tell these guys what they're doing. I said, listen, just stay calm, stay cool. The game in The Apprentice to stay on for as many episodes because your face is being seen by millions of people, and we're selling T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he made it through like 10 episodes, which was money. You know what I mean? It was like bank.
That's awesome. That is so cool. But
Yeah.
that's not even the story you're telling me now. Now you're telling me about a different one, which is probably even a little more crazy.
So I'm going to say that one of the coolest stories, and there's kind of like two parts to it. Years ago, and I think it was 2004, we'd gotten an invite to I was trying to find it. It's some sort of gala. It was down in Waldorf Astorie in Manhattan. Special guests were like Gloria Estefan, Oscar de la Hoya. There was like celebrities everywhere. And for us, it was one of the first ones we were like going to as these people that are now celebrities, you know? And I was definitely the plus one guy. I was not really much, but I was there because I had to tell them, make a left, go right. We're going over here. We're meeting this person, whatever. So, we had gotten to the event. We had brought some bikes. I remember sort of vaguely, like we unloaded the bikes and then we jumped in the car. We were brought to this like pre-party, like before the show, to meet all the VIPs, like a VIP meet and greet for all the people who were anybody. So, and I can't remember all the names. I just remember meeting Oscar de la Hoya. I met Gloria Estefan. I met Jim Brown. I met David Robinson. And I want to tell you, like, you realize how big you are when you meet people like that. The guy's 7'1", so you're just kind of like overwhelmed by like this guy's massive. And then like I forget the guy's first name. His last name was King. He owned the production company that filmed Oprah's show. So like you just kind of like started catching the vibe of what was going on. And these people were really cool. They were really cool to us. They were fans of the show. Like they knew the show, they knew the Teutul's. So that part was neat, So we did the event. We went. It was cool. And one of the things about Paul, that Senior, that's always been kind of funny. He's very picky with his food. And I remember him holding up his steak with his fork, yelling at the waiter, like, this thing's not cooked right. And there were like hundreds of people there, 30 or 40 celebrities. And I'm like, put your fork down, like, we're not in Montgomery. We're here in the Waldorf Astoria. Like, let's all behave, But people loved it. They loved that part of him, and they loved that biker famous thing coming together. So on top of that, we're planning a trip from this event. We're heading to the airport after this event for a red-eye flight, I believe it was, or whatever it was, and we're heading to Los Angeles to do what was Big in '04. So they had this VH1 Big in '04 event. I don't know if you remember it, but
I do.
So I kind of knew the weekend was going to be nuts, and we were getting a lot of the local papers wanting to do articles about what was going on in Montgomery, our local town. And there was a reporter that he was kind of stalking us, and I was like, listen, you want a story? Come with us this weekend. Get your paper, your local $5, a year annual income paper to pay for you to come with us. And he got it.
Whoa.
So this kid came with us. So he came with us. So we go to this event. While we're at the event, we had a PR person with us from Discovery Channel. And they said, listen, we just got a call. Staying in the Waldorf, I'm pretty sure how this went, is Muhammad Ali. He's not going to this event, but he's here and he wants to meet you guys. So we're Paul's like a diehard Muhammad fan. So
wow.
They set it up. We go to this hotel room. It's like a suite. We go in. We bring the kid. And the kid's the funniest part to me because he's like blown away, So we're blown away too, but we're the guys. So we got to play the cards. So we go in and it's Muhammad, his wife, and like his assistant, me, Mikey, Paul Teutul Sr., Paul Teutul Jr., and this kid. And we just start talking to Muhammad. And at the time, he didn't speak. It was when he was on medicine, and for whatever reason, he just didn't talk. But he was very animated. He was like doing magic, and he was just cool, and he knew what was going on. He loved the show. And while we were there, he took one of those like fancy napkins you get in one of those like really high-end steakhouses, and he laid it on a coffee table. And I'm not kidding, for like 40 minutes, he drew himself fighting Frazier. He drew the ring. He was making dots all over the napkin, and he signed it from Muhammad to Paul. He folded it up. He handed it to him. And, we took pictures with him. We were probably there for like an hour, and, we packed it up and we left. So, wow. That was amazing. Like, just to meet him and just to know he knew the show and all those pieces that came together. And in my opinion, it's something you can argue about, but I think Muhammad Ali was the most famous person alive. You know what I mean? So to be in his presence, I thought was amazing. I actually have a picture of he made me punch him, so it's like a shot of me punching him in the face. So I have that picture, and it's pretty cool.
So he's in a wheelchair. He's not really communicating by speaking. He's just very animated and doing things, and yet you still were able to like have fun with him and take pictures like that.
Oh yeah, it was amazing, man.
That's so cool.
He was like going around like a kid, and I think if he pushed himself to speak, he could have, but I think he chose not to because of what would come out. I guess I don't know. I mean,
okay.
I look, whatever.
Yeah, you had a hell of a time. That's awesome.
Yeah. So then we pack it up, and I think we end up heading to the airport, and we hop on a flight. The kid's still with us. We head out to Big and 04, and that's just like it's hosted by like Nick Lachey, Flavor Flav. This is the era. Flavor Flav's there with Bridget Nielsen, and they're like all over each other, and we're in the room with them. You know what I mean? Like we're there, and I remember Flavor Flav meeting Paul, and we're like in this back room, and he literally walks in and he does this like, "Yo, Gene," he literally jumps on him. Like the clock goes flying, and jumps on Paul and hugs him. So, those kinds of things for me, that was like mind blowing, and he was cool. Flavor Flav was like hanging out. It was also the night, I just remember Danny Bonaducci was like a thing for a minute, and Hulk Hogan was there, and we were hanging out with him. That was the night I met him, and he was hanging out, and his daughter Brooke was there, and everybody's hanging around, whatever. Chris Cornell was there. We got to meet Chris Cornell. I talked to him for a while. He was super. And this is when Audio Slave was like really big. So they were there doing whatever they were doing. And while Danny Bonaducci was on stage, he jumped on Hulk Hogan's back. And Hulk Hogan like flipped him off his back. I think he got knocked out. It was like insane. So that's the
wow.
That's really the first part of my story, just to talk about how really the main piece was, how many celebrities were always kind of around when you did certain things. And then the fact that we were able to meet Muhammad Ali, I just thought was a cool piece for me in my life. And I know Paul was awesome. And plus Mikey and Paul, he thought it was great too.
Yeah. Well, he made a point to have you guys come visit him, which is awesome. I mean, he knew who you were and you didn't even know that yet. So how flattering is that, right?
Yeah, it was wild. So then fast forward, it's maybe 5 years later, we're doing an event. I can't remember where we were. I guess we were in Michigan, and there was a guy that showed up. His name was, I can't even remember his name, something Barry, something. But anyway, so he says, we're talking. He says, "Listen, I'm like, you don't know who I am, but I know a lot of people." And we were talking. He's like, "Well, I'm heading to Muhammad Ali's house tomorrow. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "But tomorrow's Paul's birthday." I said, "Let's tell him we're doing something else, and I want to surprise him, and we'll bring him to Muhammad Ali's house for his birthday, Oh. So the guy's like, "Do it." So he gets the clearance. Muhammad's people are telling us, "Yeah, that's great." He gets Muhammad and his family and team or whatever to clear us to film. Now we're going to get segments of Muhammad Ali in our show, everything that would basically be like earth shattering for American Chopper, great for anybody that's involved with that experience. So we actually get the permission. So we hop in the car and we tell Paul, "Look, there's a little change of plans. We got to go to this other thing. So we're going to do it. And then we're going to fly out of wherever. And, we're cool. We just got to take this drive." And he's like, "All right, whatever." So we hop in the car and we take off, and, we show up and we come down this long, windy driveway, this beautiful layout. And, we're at Muhammad Ali's house, man. So, So I was lucky to meet him twice. So we go in, and they have this like outside seating area where you can like a bar almost. And he's there, and, we got the film crew and everybody's cool, but he just was sick, you know what I mean? And we just gave him his respect. We never filmed. We didn't do any filming, and we didn't use any of it just because, the guy was such a big legend, and he had the gift of gab, and it was like, it was the opposite. So we just felt like to give him that respect, we just didn't do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And in that meeting, they broke out a bunch of boxing gloves, and they're like, "Who wants to sign gloves?" And, I got Muhammad to sign a glove for me. And I have a picture of me with him in that. And at that time, he was definitely had declined a lot. He was not really animated. And as a matter of fact, I have a picture with him literally holding him, like from falling back, I'm like holding him. And it was cool, man. Thank God I was able to do it, but it's just sort of sad, to see how it is, you know what I mean? It's just everybody's, these celebrities, everybody's a human being, and at the end, we come into this world and then we die, So it's just, not to make this morbid, but it's just like he was a mortal guy,
Yeah, it was 5 years after you first met him, so that's pretty telling about how time can take things away from you.
Yeah,
I was lucky enough. I was lucky enough to work with his daughter on her podcast for a little while. Layla, she's a great person. I never did meet him, but was Paul Sr. surprised when he walked in Muhammad's house on his birthday?
Oh my God, he's like, where are we? And we eventually got to the point where, like, as we were pulling in or whatever, we're like, we're at Muhammad Ali's house. He's like, he couldn't believe it, But it was different than it's almost like, the expectation of what you're trying to accomplish was totally different than the reality. You know what I mean? So when we got there, we were like, wow. And I even think they told Muhammad that was what we were doing, but he just didn't really know what was going on, So
yeah.
So it was cool. It was great for Paul. He got to see that and hang out with him, and we all got to sign gloves, and we got, the pictures, but we respected not filming. I mean, we could have made it, and we could have made him look great or whatever, but you know how these camera crews are. They're like ruthless. They don't.
Yeah. Oh,
they
yeah.
want the shot. They don't care. They even knew. They kept the cameras down.
Well, at that point, yeah, he's a legend, and everybody wants to see him keep his image in their mind when he's at his top. So that's totally respectful. Yeah. Somebody that's that strong-willed and stuff in life. So, wow, that's a journey. That's like almost like a full circle of when you first met him to the last time you met Muhammad Ali. But I want to do a little recap. Okay. I'm going to see if I miss anything here. So about 18 years ago, you're with the Tuttles. You're at the Waldorf Astoria. You're at a gala, and you're just looking around the room, and you see Gloria Estefan, Oscar De La Hoya, David Robinson, who's really tall. And then, and then at dinner, Paul Sr. standing there with a steak on his fork, yelling at the guy saying, "This isn't right." And you have to calm him down in the middle of this gala at the Waldorf Astoria.
Yep, that's correct.
Then Muhammad Ali invites you to his room.
Yep.
How cool is that?
It's awesome.
You go up there, you take pictures, you get to punch him in the face. He draws a bunch of stuff for you. And then you get to jump on a plane and go to the Big in 04 Fest, which I believe my wife was actually on the red carpet. Wow. Working for Clear Channel at the time. So I'm actually texting her, finding out if she was there or not, but I know she was there for a few of them. So that's kind of funny. So then you go to the Big in 04 and you're hanging out with Brooke Hogan, Hulk Hogan, Chris Cornell. And then later on, Flavor Flav was there, jumped on top of Paul Sr. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
How small is Flavor Flav compared to Paul Sr.?
So Paul image size, he was working out a lot at the time, so he's probably about 6 foot, and he had a big presence. But I'm telling you, man, Flavor Flav looked like he was like 5'2". He probably is bigger than that, but he was just like a little skinny dude, So, and he had like this necklace. It was like a string of like watch bands that were just like strung together. And I just remember like choking him and flying over Paul, literally the clock like flew to the back of Flavor's back. You know what I mean? I went around his back.
I guess it's on brand with the whole watch thing around his neck, or the clock thing around his neck with the watch bands.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So then after that, down the road, 5 years later, you guys are still obviously huge fans of Muhammad Ali, and you get the opportunity to surprise Paul Sr. by taking him to Muhammad Ali's house on Paul Sr.'s birthday. That is a sentence right there. That is gnarly. And then you get signed gloves, you get to talk to him, and you were going to film, but you didn't. But man, what do you think out of that entire story? I know you're a huge Muhammad Ali fan. You have that glove signed. You got pictures with him. I'm sure that you have some of those drawings that he did.
Actually, the drawing was given to Paul, and I think for a while he lost it. We were like going to kill him, and then I think he found it. So, I remember like, what? You lost? I can't find it. It was in this dresser drawer. I can't find. We're like, oh my God. And I think it wound up turning up or something.
Why did you put it in a dresser drawer? It should be in a safe.
Yeah, frame it. Yeah, or frame it. Put it somewhere special. What do you use it at the dinner table?
Yeah, right. It's just coffee table readings and drawings.
Yeah. Where's my special napkin? Get it.
All right. So, out of all of that, besides Muhammad Ali, who do you think was the second coolest, I would say, celebrity you met?
I mean, we got like I mentioned earlier, we did the bike with Trump, and Trump was cool. I mean, it was way before he was president. And what was really cool is we built the building we were in. It was about 100,000 square feet. It had our showroom in it. It had a big retail space. That's where we filmed. It was our headquarters, and has I think it's like a 60-foot long logo on the windows. I mean, it's really nice. And, and Trump being known as this massive real estate skyscraper building guy, pulled in, and the guy that picked him up was our salesman. And he's like, so when we pulled in, Trump said, man, this is one hell of a building. So that was cool for us because we built it. And
That's
to hear
dope.
that from him, that was cool, And then, he was just cool. Like, at one point we were there and he only had one guy with him. And it turned out the guy lived down the street from me. He just was Trump's guy, go to the city every day. I'm like, he lives down the road. I'm like, you live on Horse Mills Road? He goes, yeah, I live right in Cornwall, which is the next town over. I thought that was kind of funny. But this guy named Keith, and I remember getting ready to film, and Trump's like, hang on a minute, Keith, get me the hairspray. He goes in the bathroom, he comes out, and his hair is like all poofed up, like the way he does it. So.
Was it Aquanet hairspray?
Yeah, it must have been a full can of Aquanet. But what's funny about him? He's big, man. I think he's like 6'3". So when you don't realize when you're next to him, he's a big guy too. So. And he was cool. We did the bike and everything went good. And I think Paul, like, they stayed in touch,
Yeah.
I think the Tuttles did Letterman like 11 times. They did Leno like 9 times. I mean, I remember one night being in Letterman and we brought a bunch of bikes on the sidewalk and it was like winter. It was like this time of year, like it just snowed that day or something. The streets were like not great, but Letterman was a huge bike fan and he had Tuttles there. He had Bruce Willis there, Sylvester Stallone, obviously himself, Letterman, dude, they all jumped on bikes and rode down Broadway on theme bikes, like the fire bike, like the jet bike, all these bikes. Yeah, it was wild. Like I remember Stallone being like, this is a normal 1 down, 5 up, right? And I'm like, yeah, you got it, so it's funny.
That is awesome. Holy cow. What a journey you took on with those guys and being that it's like you guys were just all, friends hanging out in town and every so often you got to go play with a bunch of really famous rich people. It's really
it's 100%. And I would make these deals. Like I remember we made a deal. I think it was Learjet, where it's like, all right, we're gonna build a bike, we're gonna do an appearance, and what do you guys need? I'm like, well, it's whatever this price for the bike, but then we're gonna want a private jet for like a year and a half, and
wow,
whatever. And they'd be like, I remember flying private for like 3 years, like for a good 3 years of our time for free. Like we would just call and be like, we need the jet, and they would send the jet over to here, this local area. Stewart Airport, and we'd hop on the jet. Oh, dude, I remember we came here one time. Somebody sent a jet for us to go down to Fort Lauderdale, and we get to this little terminal, which is literally right down the street from me right now. And we get in this little terminal, and in the terminal, in this little private FBO, is a dude standing with a bunch of merchandise. And he's all excited to get his merchandise signed. And we're about to get on the plane for 3 hours with just this guy and us. It's Steven Tyler.
Oh, Steven Tyler?
Steven Tyler, bro. And I play guitar. And like I grew up listening to Aerosmith, and Aerosmith was not a Paul Senior band because he was more like, I think his favorite artist was like Marvin Gaye or something like that. So for me, I literally sat right across from Steven Tyler and I just asked him every question I could ever imagine about everything. I asked him about his relationship with Mick Jagger and why, dude looks like a lady and all that. He told the whole story, man. That was insane. That weekend was nuts too. I literally helped him learn how to ride a motorcycle.
Shut up. You taught Steven Tyler?
Not taught him, but like he knew, but I kind of was like, you're good. Just stay relaxed, and just go. And he was like, and he's going. And I'm like, no kidding. Like literally on my phone on the motorcycle trying to keep things going. And he's like, you're on the phone. Look at this, man. This is great.
That is.
It's funny. I think I still have his cell phone number.
Steven Tyler's?
Yeah.
Did you get to play guitar with him?
No, but dude, after that weekend, he calls me up and he's like, so you got to remember, this is like it was after Aerosmith sort of kind of went into a lull, and it was before he was on American Idol. So he wasn't like an A-lister. I mean, he's Steven Tyler, but he wasn't doing anything that
wasn't on the radar.
If it was American Idol days, it would have been different. But he was like kind of in the middle of stuff and kind of low key, and he was cool. So he calls me up and he's like, that ride was so awesome, man. That weekend we went up to St. Augustine, and me, him, and Paul, I think Junior was there, and people went nuts, man. They were just going crazy to meet Paul, to meet Tyler. I mean, it was like crazy. And I was like the only person. I was like the bouncer too, like move it, make a hole, let's go,
That's a common thread in a lot of the stories is the plus one is also security sometimes and the camera person always.
Yeah, security, camera person, PR, putting out the fires. And we wound up riding back. He loved it. We dropped the bikes. Everybody went on their way. He called a couple days later and said, I'm going to send you something that inspired me so much. I wrote a song, and he sent me the song.
Whoa. And
I don't have it anymore. Maybe I could find it. And I'll be honest, it wasn't anything great. It was just like him, like, I don't know, maybe on an acoustic, just singing or whatever. It was funny, man. It was just.
You have a private song written and performed by Steven Tyler that he sent you.
Yeah, it was for the Tuttles, but I was the recipient. And at the time, we were actually negotiating with Sony because he was with Sony, and we were doing a deal where we were building them a bike, and we actually the OCC band did an album with Sony. Sidebar. But I told those guys, like a big executive was up. I'm like, hey, listen, check this out. Tyler wrote a song, and I played it, and they're like, just get rid of that. Just don't even. They were like,
oh my gosh, don't play that anywhere.
Yeah. I was like, what's going on? I'm kind of confused. So, but then his career went through the roof when he did Idol. You know what I mean? So, whatever. So
he has a roller coaster at the Hollywood Park in Disney World still, I believe, right?
Yeah, we were talking to him about all that. Dude, he was so close with us. The Tuttles bought these AMG Mercedes cars. They're real nice cars. These guys had tons of cars. And Steven Tyler had the cars picked up and put this super turbo package on Junior and Senior's cars down in Florida and shipped them back. He paid for everything.
Wow. Just for a present.
Yeah, dude, as a present.
Wow. Well, I need to get a friend like that.
And then here's a funny story. So Steven Tyler, so we used to get stuff all the time from fans, from all different people, like literally tractor trailers full of stuff with all this like crazy, stuff people would make, stories that they would like literally handcraft, like crazy stuff would just continually show up. And my job was like the gatekeeper of the stuff. Like if anything of a value came, try to make sure Paul saw it. He wanted it. We'd send it to whatever, his house or whatever. So this knife comes in, and it's this like 14-inch switchblade. It's like insane. I'm like, what in the hell is this thing? And it's a real deal knife, So we get it. I'm like, wow, look at it. And it's like nothing really came with it. It's like maybe in a little sleeve, like a leather sleeve maybe. And I'm like, check this knife out, Paul. This is yours. He's like, wow, that's really cool. So I don't know, maybe a couple weeks later, we got invited to go down to a concert in the Meadowlands to be backstage with Tyler, with Aerosmith. They're on tour there with Kravitz. We got to meet Lenny Kravitz that night. So we drive down, and before we left, he's like, yo, grab that knife. I want to give this to Tyler. I think he'll love it, And we get down there, and we're talking, and, Tyler's doing his weird warm-up or whatever he's doing. But we're in his dressing room, and he's like, yo, I got you something, man. He gives it to him. And Tyler looks at it. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, what? I thought you liked that. He's like, dude, I sent that to you. So Paul didn't, I didn't know where it came from. You know what I mean? It just was something that showed up, nothing on it, just knife shows up. Because like the people in packaging would just open stuff up and bring it in, So we weren't in there like, whatever. So maybe there was something on it. Usually they would tell you. So I'm going to say there probably wasn't, because at the time, if anything said Orange County Choppers on a box, it got stolen or got ripped apart. So I would imagine Steven Tyler did put like to Paul Sr. from Steven Tyler, because I'm sure it would never have made it to our shop. Or Tyler just doesn't put anything in anything. I don't know. So it's just funny. So it was kind of like Tyler was like insulted. I thought it was pretty impressive that Paul, like his gut instinct put it together, but he didn't know he was giving it to him as a present from like, hey, check out this thing I got, So it's just funny.
Did you get side eye or in trouble from Senior?
No, because I didn't know. We didn't know. He'd laugh. He loved that kind of stuff.
That's funny.
Was nuts. He loved it, man. Like I constantly just stir the pot, and I would like if we were in a car and the driver wasn't driving good, I'd be like, "What are you doing, man? We're gonna throw up everywhere. You want me to drive?" And he loved it. Yeah, you got to pull over. He was never like, like don't do that. He's like, do it more. Slap him in his head, that kind of stuff. So,
well, Steve, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I really appreciate you doing this for me. And we will, hopefully I can get you back on the show, because I kind of feel like we only scratched the surface on some of these stories.
Yeah, I can tell you we went down to Australia, met with Russell Crowe. We stayed at his house. I mean, we had a food fight in Qantas Air in first class one time. So.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'm getting you back on. Well, I'll set you up for a few weeks down the road and we'll record again.
Okay.
But, is there anything else, anything you're promoting? I know you're in real estate now, so if you want to promote that or anything that you want to shout out to anybody out there right now?
No, just, doing my thing in real estate. If anybody needs some commercial property or somewhere to buy or sell, just give me a call.
All right, man. I appreciate you taking the time for the call. We'll have you back on very soon.
Okay, Chris. Thank you very much.
Take care, man.
you've survived another story. Thanks for listening, and please let us know what you think about the show by leaving a rating and review. If you have a story or want to connect with Chris, go to thisisfunner.com.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.